It's episode 1 of Velma, and oh god, it is yet another destruction of everything we have ever loved. Show begin, and Velma is narrating why this show exists, saying, you audience guys, you always expect the main protagonist to be a handsome white man with all the power. Well, not this time, because this is about my inclusive backstory, and it's told in my way. Oh, and also, it all starts with a murder. So let's go to a locker room, where there are 2 cockroaches doing the sex. And ha ha ha, if you're not laughing yet guys, you're an absolute bigot. And look, there's a bunch of cartoon naked women, and they're all showering while discussing how pilot episodes of brand new shows are always full of naked people doing the sex. And obviously, it's all to get the approval of new fans. And it's like, oh wow, you're so self-aware. And look, everyone has a different viewpoint on nudity, so they start fighting for reasons. And look, oh my god, there's a murderer, and it's got a crowbar that yeets Asian Daphne into the lockers. But wait a minute, that was actually inclusive Velma, and it was just a joke. So she goes to her own locker, and there's a freaking dead body in there. We're now at the police station, where some guy is taking a leak up against the wall because ha ha ha, that's really funny. And inclusion Velma is in the interrogation room all alone, and she's saying like, hello, is anybody coming to see me? But wait, there's a ghost, and it's asking her who killed Brenda. And inclusion Velma is like, oh my god, you're not real, you're just part of my imagination. Which is a real mysterious. And hey, here's some dyke detectives, and they've just rolled up, and the blonde one is Daphne's mum. And she's asking Velma, like, why haven't you come around my house lately? Because like, you and Asian Daphne used to be really cool friends. So inclusion Velma says, it's because you haven't found my mum who went missing a few years ago. And that one is also a real mysterious. Inclusion Velma is now a suspect in that murder that happened because obviously it was found in her locker. And she's like, I didn't do it. And those dyke detectives, they believe her, saying, we know you aren't actually the murderer, but we do need your help in solving this case. Oh, and also you have 24 hours to solve it, because although we believe you, no one else will, so we have the power to let you out of custody, even though you're not the #1 suspect. So she's out of jail, but she's just bumped into somebody, and hey look, it's Fred, and he's not very diverse at all, but he is a rich white guy who's obsessed with social media. And hey look who else just rolled up, it's Agent Daphne, who's also his girlfriend. So they start getting it on, but Fred says, no, please stop, I don't want to do the sex, because like, that's a real mysterious. Soon transmission, and we're in the inclusion house, where daddy's eating chips, or fries if you're American, and she's like really freaked out about that because they're a bit soggy, and he's like, look, I've had a bit of a long day, I don't need to put up your crap right now. And she says, oh, you've had a long day? People think I'm a freaking murderer. Daddy says, that's because you're a weirdo. And you know what? Ever since your mum went missing, you've become an absolute recluse. You don't even play with your friends anymore. And she says, wait, I'm the weirdo? You totally knocked up a spoon as waitress while your actual wife was like totally missing. And look, there's that waitress. And she was sitting there the entire time. Because obviously that's meant to be really funny. And she says, look, just stop being a dildo. Like, we can all get along here. But oh my god, the baby's kicking. So they start doing this really massive photo shoot with different angles and everything. Which I'm pretty sure that the writers thought was going to be funny, but it is about as entertaining as dead puppies. It's funeral time where everyone is big sad. And woman person is saying, Brenda, oh my god, she may have been a slut, but she was a great slut who didn't deserve to die. It's like, oh god, the comedy in this show just keeps coming and coming. And now Asian Daphne is giving a speech saying it was all-inclusive Velma's fault. Oh, she's the one who did the murder. And look, there she is. She's a convenient part-time waitress. So she goes outside, but something is behind those bins. And hey, it's not very diverse Fred. So she asks him like, what's up? You look a bit sad. And he says, oh, I just want to be the man my dad wants me to be. And then shows her a picture of him, where she says, oh, damn, Dilb City. It's like, oh my god, I can't wait for that to be on t-shirts. But he's not actually trying to hook his dad up with minors, and says, you know Brenda's deaf, right? It just keeps making my ass rain. And that's not very manly at all. So Velma tells not very diverse Fred about how her mum went missing, so completely just like taking the conversation away from someone who's got problems. And it actually turns out it was because Velma was really interested in mystery solving. So one day, she solved the mystery of where her parents hid her Christmas presents. And then it made her a bit sad because she ruined her own surprise. Just like how they ruined our childhood memories of this show. So her mum went off to buy her a new present that she could unwrap on Christmas Day. But that night she went missing. And now Inclusive Velma wants to solve the disappearance of her mum. Oh, and also she keeps having hallucinations of big scary ghosts. Fred is like, wow, that's a really cool backstory. But watch out guys, there's a car. And look, it's Norville, who's basically diversity inclusion Shaggy with a different name. And he's saying, I've been trying to call you all this time, Velma, but I couldn't get a hold of you, so I left you loads of voicemails. She pulls out her phone and starts listening to them. And oh my god, he's saying I know who killed Brenda. So into the car they go, where she listens to another voicemail, and he says, I don't actually know who killed Brenda. Which made my tits fall off with laughter because ha ha ha, it's just so funny this show. They set jokes up and then they execute them with perfection. And Inclusive Velma, she's actually really pissed at that. So Discount Shaggy says, you know what, actually, I got my reporter friends at the school newspaper to investigate Spooners, which is that really cool restaurant place we always hang around at. And he's like, it's also really popular. And obviously the writers had to tell us that instead of just showing it because obviously we're too dumb to figure it out. Oh, and also that fake CNN journalist that I sent to the restaurant, it was Brenda. And she snapped a really interesting picture in that bathroom. And she must have been murdered because of it. And shut that front door! Velma just remembered that her dad's waitress sock puppet has a brand new camera from earlier, remember when they taking those pictures? And Discount Shaggy says, maybe Sock Puppet murdered Brenda to protect the secret of what makes her restaurant so popular. Inclusive Velma goes home. And look, there's that camera. So she grabs it and starts scrolling through the screens where she says, oh my god, because it turns out that sock puppet really likes photographing babies in vegetable suits. Which is actually the only mildly humorous part of the show because it was completely from left field. And now she's having a ghost hallucination and then dies of myocarditis. But Sock Puppet comes along and revives her very easily. And Inclusive Velma is like, oh, I'm so sorry, I thought you killed Brenda to protect the secret of your restaurant's popularity. And Sock Puppet says, it is actually cool, and I'll tell you what, the secret to my really cool restaurant is good music. And the fact I let teenagers do the sex in the bathroom is like, that's so funny, I completely shat myself. And look, there's Daddy, and he says, I'm sorry for being a bit of a dildo, but I can tell you the truth now that your mum never actually went missing, she just hated you so much, she ran away. So let's have a flashback to when her mum was being really angry at her because she was being a complete dick, and no one actually really cares. Well, now she's liberated from that, belief her mum went missing, she gets a makeover and is now wearing a glittery tent. And oh my god, she's so popular, but cis-het gender conformist says, you Velma, you're a faker. We haven't forgotten how you murdered Brenda. And now she's getting a guillotine thrown at her. But Fred just came out of nowhere and caught it and then yeeted it back. And then gives a really cool speech saying, look everyone, Inclusive Velma, she's not a dildo. That's hate speech, you bastards. She's really cool, really smart, and is also very funny. And then everyone clapped and cheered. It's bathroom time where Velma is doing the dishes. Wait, she's not alone. There's those cis-het gender conformists who say, well. But the toilet just flushed, breaking their line of dialogue. So they have to give it a few seconds and then say, well again. But the toilet just flushed once more. And oh my god, I'm vibrating with laughter so badly, it's like I've got the side effects from a Pfizer jab. And now they have to wait while that girl washes her hands. And then she's drying them. And oh my god, it's a plot twist. She was actually one of the gender conformists. Oh my god, that's so funny. And now Inclusive Velma says, can we actually just cut to the chase and tell me what you want? And Asian Daphne is about to speak. But the class bell goes off because the jokes just won't end and end. And then says, stop trying to ride Fred's red rocket. He's my boyfriend. But we haven't actually done the sex yet because he doesn't want to. Which is a real mysterious. And then says he's really conscious about his body, won't let people touch it. And he even kicks people out of bathrooms whenever he's in there. So basically spanning out the mystery of who was in the bathroom with the journalist. That was Brenda, obviously. She goes to Discount Shaggy and says, get me to not very diverse Fred's house. So off they go. And now she's breaking in while Discount Shaggy sits in the car. And like, she has to be really, really sneaky. So he calls her up on her phone saying, "I'm bored." And it's like, ha ha ha, my sides just split and I diarrheaed out my mouthful. Oh my god, I'm laughing so hard right now. And look, there's the camera. So he starts scrolling through where like there's two students doing the mouth sex. But oh no, Fred's caught her saying, "Brenda photographed me when she should not have done." And like, you see, I haven't actually started puberty yet, and people will laugh if they found out the secret. And the secret is he has a very small pee-pee, which is so funny, I now have AIDS. And then says, when Brenda found out my little secret, I had to do something about it. And Velma, she's now gonna have to die. Like, really, really die. Wait, no, sorry, those dykes just turned up out of nowhere and then shot him in both legs. So Velma's free to go, and Fred gets arrested. But it turns out that Fred is actually innocent because he's saying I paid Brenda not to tell anyone. I didn't kill her. That's a misogyny. Back to Inclusive Velma's house, where Discount Shaggy's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you got that stuff about your mum disappearance solved. She's just hated you, you know. Pretty much like how everyone hated this show. But what are those cockroaches about?" So they go over to the bins, and oh my god, there's another body. And that's it. Like, I now have full-blown AIDS.
Subscribe button.
Is always right.